Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub, and Lean and Limber. Stretch your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hey everybody, Matt McCarthy and Steve Lewis in Midtown Manhattan talking rugby. And Stephen, we had the pleasure of being out in Los Angeles for the Los Angeles Sevens, the HSBC Sevens World Series stop that used to be in Las Vegas. What did you think?
I thought it was a great first outing. So if you want to talk the weekend, the venue is superb. The facility is superb. Players, coaches, fans, great space. No issues on that part. Thought the rugby was pretty damn good too. I thought you had a superb final. South Africa coming back.
Unreal.
Coming back in overtime. Beat Fiji, who looked rampant up to that point with about 2 minutes to go the whole weekend. That was good. I thought you saw a much improved display by the US, finishing fifth. Lost to South Africa in the quarters, somewhat unfortunately. So they look like they're getting a bit of their mojo back, which is good to see. They finished fifth. They moved back to seventh overall now.
Yeah.
After 7 legs out of 10. So it's good coming into, we're getting to Olympic time, which is what we want to peak for. So that was a good performance from them. I thought the reported attendances seemed pretty accurate. I think they went for about 17,500 on the Saturday, about 13 on the Sunday. And given the nature, it's the first outing at a new venue, I thought those were pretty healthy attendances.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. Invitational tournament, some mixed reports on that. People happy to be there. One venue was 40 miles away and there was some small logistical issues, but that sort of stuff can be sorted.
Yeah.
Provided the product's good, the Sevens, which it was, the venue's good, which it is. I think now it's got a good future. I think it's a place to go to. One issue, of course, was the in-stadium announcer.
Yeah, horrific.
What was his name?
His name was Matt McCarthy. Yeah.
He had some issues. Yeah, he had some issues. It's very disconcerting, when you get to the stadium, you're not aware this is going on. You go to relieve yourself in a public restroom and boom, all you hear is McCarthy's voice behind you on a regular basis. Very disconcerting, I have to say.
Well, it was also I wasn't without hiccups. So I called Canada Wales a number of times. I called Phil Mickelson. I did try to correct it. One time I bellowed that Carlin Isles was scoring in the corner and it was Martin Iosefo. I apologized profusely, Martin, but we were far away and the guy couldn't see the spotter with the
I don't know, a little bit more research, I think. A little bit more research.
I was thinking in my head as I'm saying it, that is one bigger version of Carlin Isles with the wheels there.
What colour were Scotland playing in that change strip?
Scotland were in lizard green. If you were in the stadium, you heard the dedication to the lizard green. And I got to toot my own horn just once.
Yes.
When David Hasselhoff was on at the halftime, I brought everybody in the stadium back. We have another half to play.
I actually thought you had a good weekend, and you've just gone and ruined it.
Thank you. Well, that's what I do. But, we've got Golden Eagles stuff all over this set that I didn't steal this stuff, okay? David Barry gave me that bag full of stuff on Friday night and said, this is yours for the weekend. He didn't give me the Jamaica Sevens hat. He did not do that, but he gave me all this stuff.
Does that mean you want one?
Oh, I would love. Oh, those are just great. They go with everything. They just blend with every suit and jacket. And but thank you, David Barry, for your generosity. And Golden Eagles, do not come down and get in my kitchen because you see this stuff. I didn't steal it. It was given to me, and I think he gave it to me because he knew I had limited luggage space. But thank you, and it was just a great tournament, I thought. Right?
Yep, terrific.
There's the shirt. Little plug.
And there's the hat.
We're shills. Just hire us. We're shills, guys. We're great at that. And on behalf of the new Austin Gilgronis spokesperson, Steve Lewis, I'm Matt McCarthy. We'll be right back. If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
I'm Sean Fitzpatrick, and you're watching Rugby Wrap-Up.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in Midtown Manhattan talking rugby. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat. We have Mr. Ric Salizzo And he happens to be, if you don't know this, a big deal. Welcome.
Well, I'm big. I'm like quite.
You're big.
I'm
Hey,
quite
listen,
large.
it's all
I'm
relative.
Like 105 kg. You know,
He's a big
so,
man, but he's also a big star. So you have had quite a run
yeah.
doing exactly what I want to do in America. You've been doing it for a long time in New Zealand.
So next year is actually the 40th year I've been covering rugby. Like how old does that make me? Like 42. So I started rugby. The first tour I covered actually was straight out of journalism school. Was the 1981 Springbok tour of New Zealand, which was basically just protests and violence. But it was an incredible experience as a young journalist. But I've just moved to America. I'm based in Austin, Texas.
That's an interesting move.
Yeah. And
New Zealand to Austin, same thing.
So basically, what happened was I was just going visiting someone, and they were playing what they call the spring game, where they basically play against themselves, and 70,000 people showed up, and I thought this is something special. There's the tribalism around the sport is something I want to watch and something I want to experience. So I've been there for about a year, and just incredible. And then, you know, I made a conscious decision that I was going to actually just have a break from rugby, and I'm coaching the local high school team, and you know, there's a professional.
That's a break, huh?
Yeah. There's a professional team in Austin, and then I've got some great friends that are involved up here in New York, and the Rooney team, and catching up with them.
That's cool. So I've watched a bunch of the shows. I think it might have been the last show, and where the question was asked, "Can you kill yourself by holding your breath?"
Oh, yeah. So I was the All Blacks media officer through the 90s. In fact, I was the first media officer the All Blacks had, and what happened was the manager of the team appointed me at probably about 2:30 in the morning, called me up in a bar, which is where I tend to gravitate.
Do your business.
Yeah, and he said to me, look, we're having problems with the media. Do you mind being our media liaison officer? And I said, well, what's that mean? And he said, well, you can work it out. At the time, the coach was a guy called Laurie Maines, who hated my guts. And no one really told him that I was a new media officer. And so when I hopped on the bus the next day, he mouthed, what the hell's that guy doing on the bus? And they said, oh, we need to talk to you, Laurie. And I saw them walk about 100 metres up and these arms waving around like, why him, you know? But when I finished that job in the mid-90s, I'd sort of pretty much annoyed every member of the media in New Zealand. So all I could do was start my own show. And so we started a show called SportsCafe, which was myself, Zinzan Brook, ex-All Black, Mark Ellis.
Great character.
Yeah, ex-Idiot. Mark Ellis is famous because he scored the most tries in a single test match, 6 tries, which he tells me probably weekly. And it was supposed to be John Kirwan as well, but he was away when we did our pilot, and so I used Mark Ellis to fill in, and Mark was really good, so I never called JK
But
back.
is he Sir Mark Ellis? Because you got Sir John Kirwan.
Sir John Kirwan, that's right.
He's been on the show, yeah.
No, has he been on the show?
JK?
Has he?
Yeah,
Did he bring his suit of armor and his horse?
No. It was he had a scarf and a suit jacket.
Oh,
and the jeans look, which is always good.
Yeah, that's all that time in Italy.
John Kirwan speaks in the third person.
No, false. John Kirwan never speaks in the third person.
So JK and I went to school together.
Okay.
And we left the same year.
Did you play against Terry Wright?
We did actually.
He's been on the show.
No, so we played. So we went to a school called De La Salle College.
Yeah.
And we played Northcote College, which was Terry Wright, and beat them 6-4. And Terry scored the try.
Interesting, because Terry gave me a line that was supposed to be breaking Kirwan's chops about Ponsonby boys or something like that, and I had no idea. I butchered the line completely. I had no idea.
So
what
we all played for Marist. So
right.
Terry and JK were the wingers at Marist, and I was also at Marist. But there was like Zinzan Brook and Pat Lamb ahead of me, so I didn't get much game time. But
it's a little bit competitive down there, isn't it? For playing rugby in New Zealand.
Seriously, in the 80s and 90s, to make your club side in Auckland sometimes was harder to make an international team. So, at Marist, we had, 7 or 8 All Blacks. University had the same. They had Fitzpatrick and those guys.
Yeah.
So and that competitiveness, and I think that's been one of the strengths of New Zealand rugby is it doesn't matter what grade you're in, it's competitive to actually even get on the field.
Yeah.
So you can't take anything for granted.
I'm seeing some of the age grade matches, and what we'd have the equivalent of high school, and it's insane. All the cameras, like 5-camera coverage.
Yeah.
all the players known and everything else. Do you think that's a positive for the game, or can,
Yeah, it's
kids,
an interesting
can kids
one.
relax?
It's a really interesting question. So, like my son played in the first 15 the year before the cameras came in, and I'm quite relaxed. I'm quite pleased that happened. There's a lot of pressure on these young kids,
Yeah.
but it is at the same time it just really helped promote rugby. I mean, it's not uncommon for 5,000 people to show up to a game of school kid rugby. It's a bit like high school football in Texas.
Yeah.
Our equivalent. But I would say, so I coached the Westlake High School team in Texas, which is a great football school. But it's really interesting getting the chance to coach sort of 16, 17, 18-year-old American rugby players. Amazing athletes. And the thing I find about them, a lot of these guys have played football growing up, is they're able to pick up quite complicated concepts very quickly. So something that might take 6 weeks to introduce to a New Zealand school team might take one practice for an American school team. So I can see, and I'm really enjoying coaching these kids at Westlake. And the thing I love about it is they're so keen to learn.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I've found is that if you can really concentrate on their skill base at that age, it makes a huge difference as they get older. So if you can teach them how to pass the ball, how to kick the ball, how to tackle technically well. So in New Zealand, we put a lot of effort into our skills, like from
Well, you could tell. I mean, 1 through 15, everybody's
Yeah.
got a certain skill
That's
set.
not an accident.
Yeah.
So that happens at 6, 7, 8, 9
Yeah.
years old, and so we'll start a practice with just practicing passing for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, before we get into the drill of.
Yeah, I don't
game.
pass. And
You don't have to worry about it.
We're Americans.
Yeah.
We don't pass.
Because you like the contact.
Yeah, and we don't kick either. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. So you playing
Yeah.
against like somebody like
Yeah.
me, like an American growing up,
Yeah.
and taking the game on later on.
Yeah.
You could just smash into me
It's
because
easy because we know what you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's got the ball.
Exactly.
He's going to run as far as he can, and
Yeah.
I'm going to smash him because I don't have to worry about him offloading. I don't have to worry about a dummy or a
I might
kick.
fake it a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm not, I'm not confident enough to get rid of the ball in an
Yeah, yeah.
accurate way, right?
Yeah.
So people mistake that sometimes for greed. Where
Yeah.
it's like I don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
Right? That's also part of it.
Yeah.
If I'm kicking on the run, I don't know if I'm going to make contact. Right? That's
Yeah.
how that's
Yeah.
what's going through my head carrying the ball. So I'm like, just get back to
Just get there.
back to the pack,
Do my job, get
Yeah.
over the advantage line, and
Yeah.
someone else,
get some stitches,
Yeah.
do whatever you can, right?
Yeah.
So I just got back from Los Angeles Sevens, HSBC Sevens Series. I got to ask you this question: are the Sevens guys All Blacks?
That's a good. Oh, that's a.
I asked
That's
Michael Jones.
controversial.
I had Michael Jones standing next to
Sir
DJ
Michael Jones.
Forbes.
Sir Michael
was it
Jones.
Sir, sorry,
Yeah.
Sir Michael, because he's been on the show too. I love him. He's actually picked me up and thrown me over a fence.
Right.
And he
we
was
call him
allegedly
Ice.
hurt.
We call him Ice.
Yeah, yeah.
Ice.
He's beautiful.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
always an ice.
Yeah.
But hold on. So I have him standing
What was
next
his
to.
answer?
So DJ Forbes is a new. It's in Vegas. It's a Sevens tournament. DJ's got stitches and he's head's taped, and I got him standing. I go,
And he wasn't even playing.
and they had just announced. No, yeah,
Oh, was-
yeah. He
he
just
wanted.
no,
He just showed up like that. Yeah,
He was playing this, and they had just announced that they were going to start calling them the All Black Sevens. And I look at Michael, who's the nicest guy on the planet.
Yeah.
I said, Michael, you gonna look at him and tell him he's not an All Black?
What did I say? Because he's the nicest man in the world.
And
so
he puts his
Michael-
arm around
Yeah,
DJ,
yeah.
and he's like, "Well, he knows, He's like cringing because he wouldn't say that he's an All Black, and DJ's kind of awkward, and they were both smiling, but it was the awkward question to ask, right?
It's a funny one because Sevens is just taken off. It's just incredible, and the guys that play in the New Zealand Sevens team are amazing athletes and represent New Zealand incredibly well. And I can understand why they call them the Sevens All Blacks, and that's great. But they're their own entity. They don't need to be anyone
Right.
else's entity,
Right.
because what they do is incredible. And whereas the All Black rugby team is something that's built up over 150 years or whatever it is of tradition. So that's a different thing. But it's fair to say there's a massive amount of mutual respect between the two teams. And then we have the Māori All Blacks as well. So
Who could beat most nations?
Yeah. So I think I think we all understand that there is one team in New Zealand that is above all others. We mentioned, of course, the Black Ferns, which we're all really proud of. But there is one team that we've all grown up with, and that's the New Zealand All Black rugby team.
I was going to say the women's netball team.
Yeah, they're good.
that
They won
Graham
the World
Henry's
Cup.
wife is on the board of directors.
They won the
right?
World Cup.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no one else could win the World Cup, but they won the World Cup. So
Right.
they're our favourite team at the moment. Yeah.
I asked Sir Graham. You finally won. You get asked more about the Rugby World Cup or about your wife introducing the netball team to them because
well,
he said the netball team.
And Raywin was always the unofficial sort of fourth selector for the All Blacks as well. So it was worked really well.
Right. And she actually said, "You're going on his show." And he goes, "All right, I'm on your show."
Yeah, I wouldn't answer.
Final question for you. Should Eddie Jones have played the same lineup that he played against Australia, against South Africa?
Yeah,
instead of the Ford Farrell thing.
It's a good question, actually. These are good questions.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. See?
So I think the World Cup, so I watched the World Cup when I was in Austin. I watched it on TV here and on NBC and stuff. And
Which is a miracle.
Yeah.
We can do that now in America.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I was excited after we beat Ireland, and we played really well, and then we got sort of tooled a bit when we played England, but South Africa was always the team, South Africa was just the team that was, it was their time, and what they did in the final, they were never going to lose to England, no matter what Eddie Jones did. It was just their time. Like I worked for the All Blacks in the '95 World Cup, when we lost.
Tea?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah,
Sean was talking about that.
Yeah.
Too,
But it just felt like their time then, and it felt like their time now. And I must admit, when England played South Africa, I was a big South African fan. I was like,
of course, ABE, anybody but England, right?
To win that game.
But we could talk for hours, but the next show is coming in right now. Yeah, so we have to go. I want to thank you, sir, for coming on. It's been
a pleasure. Really enjoyed it.
All right, and we got if you're sticking around, we got to get you on again sometime.
Absolutely.
All right. On that note, we are out of time. Matt McCarthy talking rugby here in Midtown Manhattan for Rugby Wrap Up, and Mr. Ric Salizzo signing off.